morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. These glasses always look crooked. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Veranda and Kim, Roslyn, Maria, Chayla, Winner, Natasha, Verzola, Nicole, Denise. Good morning. Good morning. Listen, usually I tell you all, I just wake up this week and today, especially, my body is like, honey, we are sleeping. We are sleeping. And yet here I am. Good morning, y'all. Tag your PRC Village Keeper folks. Let them know that we are on. Good morning, Francis. Good morning. Good morning. Let them know that we are on. Per usual, I have a few texts this morning that I want us to engage. So get your pen and your pencil out because I know you're going to want to write them down. Shay, good morning. I'm just giving folks a chance to come on for our first text. And I want to let you know that I'm going to read the first text so that my glasses are crooked, y'all. And I want you to know that I know that they are. I need to get them tightened or aligned or something. I often fall asleep in my glasses, which is a no-no, especially for these because they're so lightweight and fragile. But flag on the plate. Flag on the plate. My bad. Hold on. Little studio child done fell all down. Wait a minute. We still here. Hold on. All right. Let's get it back together. Let's get it back together. Let me take this down. Let me put all my accoutrements down and let's just get down on the same level and let it just be us. No high production today. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to talk about a bit about collective courage. Collective courage. Hold on, I've underlined a quote. Have y'all liked and shared? Are the people coming on? I'm just giving folks. I say. Collective courage. What I love about me. Thank you, Digi Deacon. Ashe. So happy for you. What I love about me and just where I am in the space that I'm in, is that in this particular space that we have curated together along with the clearing, those of you who are familiar and are members of the clearing, which is our subscription community, is a more private conversation where we go. And for the clearing community, I also just realized that I didn't send you the recording from last week. And so after today, I will double down and send you last week and this week. My bad on that. Just after the festival, I have been really quite silent here on social media because I've been getting my rest, amen, and ashe, and getting clear. So I'm gonna put the link for those of you who have interest in joining the clearing right here. Good morning, Auntie Charmaine. It's good to see you. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, good morning, everyone. I want to talk about collective courage, and I got around 3 or 4 texts. And what I started to say was that what I love about me is that I am free now. I say, I am free. I am free to move, to speak, to share, to preach in a way where I am not beholden to very Western models. This is not shade. Please don't read it as that. It's not that. And you also should not read it as being underprepared, because the fact that I have like 3 texts shows you that I've been deep in it. It's just the way the spirit has been leading, and have learned. I have grown a very fond and deep appreciation for it. And so to ground, I want to talk a little bit about collective courage. On last Sunday, I believe it was, after the festival, my spouse and family and we were sitting at home, and I was trying to watch the BET Awards. I ain't gonna lie to you. I caught a couple things, and on last night, we watched it again. Derek and I watched it again because we fell asleep. It was extremely long, but we fell asleep. And so we wanted to watch it again, even more lucid. But last week, what I did catch, just sort of fleeting, it was going past me, was Taraji Henson's talking about Project 25. Now, I want to tell y'all the truth. That I had not heard of Project 25. I did not know there was, I didn't know that that's what it was called. I did, just sensibly believe that there was some, I can't even call it covert at this point. It's not a covert plan. It is, Francis, it is in front of the public, right? It is out front for all of us to see. And so when she dropped Project 25, and even when I saw Vice President Kamala Harris on the BET Awards, which is just another conversation for another day, I will set that there. I'll table that. And so I noticed, even though I was not posting a lot on social media, I noticed then a lot of folks started posting about it. And so shout out to my soror and sister in the work, Dr. Tamora Lomax, whose post I came across first, saying with a link to Joy Reid's giving us explanation and telling us where to look. And then others of you who posted about Project 25, and Dr. Angela Sims, my other soror sister in the work, who also posted about Project 25. And then I started to do my own homework and do my own reading. And I want to tell you that I started reading and I felt my chest getting tight, even though these were things that like I felt would happen under if this particular regime comes to play. I still was like, oh shit. It made me really think about, good morning everyone who's joining. Good morning, Pastor Nika. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, Dana. Excuse me. It made me think a lot about The Handmaid's Tale. The what is that, dystopian, the genre is dystopian series that is used to be on Hulu. And I started thinking about my own daughters and myself, and I felt myself just get a little like almost like I can't breathe, like my chest hurts, like, oh shoot. Then I got a little anxious for, our community members who say they don't vote, who don't vote because the system is corrupt, the system is rotted from the core, and they see it will make no difference. And so they don't vote, and they don't believe in Democrats or Republicans. And so they just don't see the need. I know, I got it, Margaret. I'm on my way. I'm on my way, friend. Let me get there. I'm on my way. Let me get there. Yes, ma'am. I'm on my way. So then they for those who do not vote, and because again they believe that the system is corrupt from the core, and because it is corrupt from the core, no good side wins. And then there are those who are having conversations around whether or not President Biden should stay in the race, or if we should be looking for someone new, which is, I'm not a politico, but to me at this late date does not make very good sense. Also, for those who, are believers in many of the traditions that have written text, that have written sacred text, whose oral texts have been written and fixed. All the people that y'all called on most in their leadership, they didn't come into their leadership. Many of them, right? Jesus is an anomaly. David is an anomaly. Many of the folks, Joshua's an anomaly, but many of the folks are old in age. The blessing, the revelation, the clarity does not come to them until their sunset of life. Hence. My point is this, that I started thinking about what is our response? What we got to say? Where is our plan? Where's our Project 25 for the people? Where is it? Where is it? Like, well, here we go, always behind. Just walk with me for a minute. Here we go, always behind, always behind. Johnny come lately. Where is our plan? And so the Spirit started speaking to me this week every time I said, where is our plan? To remind me, friend, first of all, to remind me not to measure ourselves, not to be unalarmed, but not to measure, because we've had several plans. We've always had a plan. In our current vernacular, we've been had a plan. Now, the plans I'm going to offer you are not plans that are laced in the political language. They are going to require you to expand, come on somebody, to expand your imagination. They're going to encourage you. It's going to require you to be futuristic, and at the same time to look back. I say. And I want to support this way that we're about to move. Shout out to Mama E.T. Hari, our community elder, absolutely my mother in the spirit. Shout out to her. Shout out to the design team of the Sacred Memory Project that is funded through the Lilly Endowment of Compelling Preaching grant, housed at McCormick Theological Seminary. Our design team is doing good and great work. And recently we received a text for the work that we'll be doing in a couple weeks, authored by Dr. Wade Nobles. If you do not know who the African-centered psychologist Wade Nobles is, then here is your here is your cue to go look him up. I am reading from the book Seek, SKH, from Black Psychology to the Science of Being. From Black Psychology to the Science of Being. And there's an epigraph down here, quote, "Our eternal fight is for the liberation of the African spirit," end quote. Now, some of you going to turn off right now, but some of you going to stay because you knew exactly. You knew this is exactly where I was going in response. You knew this. There's a quote in the introduction. I mean, you should get this book alone. One, just as we talks about, I'm going to read from this more in the clearing, but he talks about the white intelligentsia. And so I just want to read this one little quote to ground us, and then we're going to go on to what the plans are. Ashe? That's right. It is Dr. Diane. Seeking the Saku is another amazing work by, as a matter of fact, it's his, before this one, it's his last book. I think that was in 2002. Seeking Saku was in 2006, I believe. And this is his response to this. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. I had it queued up for us. 1 second. Here we go. So listen for a word from the ancestors, a word from our ancient text, a word from the African spirit and the African Holy Ghost. I'm gonna move around, and then when I get to the actual sentence that I want to hang on today, I will emphasize it. So these words are from the introduction, and these words are from Baba Nobles. And he talks about that in his book, in his concluding chapter, in Breaking the Code of Spiritness and Consciousness, in Seeking the Saku that Reverend Mosby just lifted. He says that it ended with the assertion that it was clear to me at that time in 2006 that the epistemological, that means knowledge, the way that we know, that the epistemological dilemma faced by Black psychology was bound up in the inability of Black psychologists to truly understand the invisible world of spirit with models and concepts derived from our comprehension of the visible material world. It seemed to me, he writes, that a full and complete development of reascension of African psychology would require a language and logic driven by an explanation of spirit and consciousness, no less than the rescue and reclamation of the meaning of being human, as spirit as the medium of human comprehension and understanding, the seek, the illumination of all. Okay, I'm going to go back and read this sentence. It seems to Dr. Nobles that the epistemological dilemma, our dilemma of knowledge, right, that was faced here, he's talking about Black psychology. I'm going to say Black people, and I'm going to absolutely say Black preachers, okay, was bound up in the inability of Black psychologists, Black people, Black preachers, to truly understand the invisible world of spirit. Here it comes with models, period, with models and concepts or plans, derived from our comprehension of the visible material world. Now I'm gonna run it down. That we have to openly accept the challenge to rescue, to restore, and refine our ancient mind as a grounding for the development of the science of being, ergo the seek. Just follow me. Just follow me. Come, we're going somewhere. As an intellectual journey, the seek, to the Sikh. This book discusses, and I think I'm pronouncing this right. If I'm not, someone please put the phonetic pronunciation in there. This book discusses the advent of the discipline of Black psychology and details its evolution of science. Stay with me. With a brief critique of the inadequacy, because here we go, with a brief critique of the inadequacy of the Western grand narrative, the big ideas, essential to exploring the fundamental and necessary epistemic correction, will include an explication of African Bantu thought and worldview. Now, here's the point where I want to lay our head. In proffering the application of African American cultural technology. So Baba Wade is saying that our culture is a technology. Technology, it is a cultural, and I'm adding a spiritual technology. Technology, in today's world, we only understand technology as it relates to digitized technology. But technology, the root of technology is technique. The root of technique is a skill. He is saying that our culture and our knowledge of our culture is a skill. With a skill, then comes a plan. A skill and a plan go hand in hand like grace and mercy. Ashe. Here's his response. In proffering the application of African American cultural technology as the requisite for the restorative process, he says that this particular manuscript also represents, here it is, also represents, quote, a divorce decree from the Western hegemonic stranglehold Yay! I don't even have to finish the sentence. I don't have to finish the sentence. It is a divorce decree from Western hegemonic ways of thinking and doing. So this is our first point about collective courage. And this is our first point about confronting our own anxiety around where is our plan. And listen, this is to complement those who are policy writers. This is to complement those who are politicos. This is to complement those who do advocacy work. This is to complement, right? All. So I'm not saying do away with any of them. I'm not, listen to me, hear me clear, right? I am saying that we've already had a plan. Yeah. I am saying that we already have plans. I am inviting us, though, in this moment, that to stave off our own anxiety. That we construct as Baba Wade has already done it, is that we engage in this divorce decree from Western hegemonic ways of thinking and doing, that will tell us that we are up the creek without a ladder, that will tell us that now we should go into hiding, that will tell us that we are not ready, that we do not have a plan, that will tell us just because we don't see it, some of us, that will tell us that we have no idea of what's about to happen. For those to think that they would be severely wrong, Ashe. And so here, Baba Nobles is talking about a divorce decree from the Western hegemonic stranglehold regarding the behavioral sciences. But we can put that on everything, on our mama, on everything else. That our need to divorce ourselves, to divorce ourselves from the stranglehold that these particular concepts and models have on us, have on our way of doing. And when we do that, it will enable us. It will unlock our imagination. Remember, we talked last week about our dream life. so that our ancestors can speak to us in our dream life, and so that we can write it down in our consciousness to be reminded that this is not new. Now hear me. I'm not suggesting, before y'all come get me, before y'all attempt to send for me, no, we've never experienced this before. No. There really is nothing new under the sun. And while I, in my lifetime, have not experienced certain things before, because the world has not fully become, combustible and just destroyed itself and ended. These cycles have never stopped, because what energy never dies, because these plans, this project 25 is energy, energy embodied, inscribed and then prescribed, prescripted, that will affect us. What Baba Wade is saying is that you have always had a plan, and your first order of business is to divorce yourself. Your first order of business is to divorce yourself from the Western hegemonic stranglehold. What does that mean? It means that our first lens, because we are here, our first lens, Reverend Francis, is to look through it through a particular lens. Why? Because that's how most of us were trained. Most of us were trained in a system that is highly influenced and created and formed for, right? Most of us participate in cultural hegemony because these are our systems. So that's one. We on our first thing. We on our first space to qualm. Yes, Reverend Tracy, you preaching in these comments. Yes. We on our first, and I don't know who's really ready. I've not been divorced. It's not something that I desire to. I've not, experienced that. But for those of you who have experienced it, I imagine, know how hard it is to come to a place where you realize this is not working. Actually, this never worked. This probably wasn't the thing. And then all that you have to do to deprogram yourself. I know we're talking about. Hear me. I'm moving through various constructs here. This divorce process is necessary because for many of us, we will hold on to this Western hegemony because it's all we have. Because we don't have any other kind of grounding, any other kind of rootedness. And because we believe the lie that informed us that anything, that the liberation of the African spirit is foolishness, that we are all one in God's eyes, that God loves each of us black, white, yellow, red, and blue, that we don't need to have these kinds of divisions, that God through Jesus is not political at all, that we should all get along. And many of us have found privilege deep within this kind of Western cultural hegemony in our traditions and disciplines. Many of us have a kind of class and educational and situational privilege that goes with these credentials that we received through these very systems. And to divorce these systems, to divorce these models, to divorce these ways of thinking will make us vulnerable. But friend, can I tell you something? That you're already vulnerable. You are already vulnerable. You're already in it. But to divorce it, some of us will have to question, then who are we really? Who are we really without the position? Who are we really without the national, international notoriety? Who are we really without the scholarship that feeds the Western hegemonic machine? Who are we really? And hence, when we begin to question who are we really, I don't think that we will be comfortable with the response or what's looking back at us. And when you recognize that this is where where you have been, it makes you even more anxious, because when you have been so steeped in this frame of Western hegemonic, Western hegemonic ways of knowing and being, the epistemic correction that comes is heavy. It is heavy because it is inviting you to return to the source, to return to your ancient knowings, to return to your ancient wisdoms, and then it will make you think that it is silly for you to place ancient teachings up against a big political machine like Project 25. Friends. Let me play something for you. It's going to go quick. And I'm going to play it again in the clearing. Did you hear it? Let me rewind it a little bit. Hold on. One more time. One more again for the people who didn't hear. Listen, that's Lauryn Hill's performance last Sunday on the BET Awards. And while there was so much critique, us church people, we always got something to say, child. Always. But what I didn't hear any of you all say, those of you who stayed up long enough to watch, what I didn't hear not one of y'all said, when El Boogie said, "Hey son, on the main stage, come on over here and let's tell them about Black Christ consciousness." I'm getting to collective courage. An example of engaging in a divorce decree, from Western hegemonic ways of thinking and doing. Here, Lauryn Hill says to the progeny of his granddaddy, Bob, to YG Marley, as he's about to sing Bob's song, "Catch a Fire," she says to him, "Hey son, come on over here and tell the people about Black Christ consciousness on the main stage." Friend, it is an example. I gave you, right? I gave you the decree, and that is an example of what is required. Now, some of you are still like, "Yeah, but listen, honey, that is not going to help us." Oh, well, let's. That was text number 2. That was text. Nicole Denise said, "I shared that video of their performance on Facebook and it got flagged and removed." Hello, like this video might, like this live stream might. Hello, Nicole, to my point. To my freaking point. Let's go here. That was 2 texts. I got 2 more to tell you, and then we gon' talk about it for a few minutes, and we're heading over to the clearing. I gotta hear it one more time. Hold on, y'all. One more again. Black Christ consciousness. And the lyrics of that song, oh, it's the slave driver. The table is turned. Catch a fire. Catch a fire so you can get burned now. Catch a fire. Slave driver, the table is turned. Catch a fire. Every time I hear the crack of a whip, my blood runs cold. For I remember on the slave ship how they brutalized the very souls. Today they say that we are free, only to be chained in poverty. Good God, I think it's illiteracy. It's only a machine that makes money. Slave drivers, the table has turned. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, the table has turned. Every time I hear the crack of a whip, my blood runs cold. I remember the slave ship, how they brutalized our very soul. Oh God, have mercies on our souls. Oh slave driver, the table is turned. Catch a fire so you can get burned. Slave driver, the table is turned. As an introduction to this, and these lyrics are subversive. Hill says, come on and let's talk about Black Christ consciousness. The point that I'm making here is that we have never been without a plan. It requires us to divorce the stronghold that Western cultural hegemony has on us, and as Baba Wade is giving us, to return to our source, to our ancient wisdoms, our ancient knowledges, and to acknowledge that our culture, our Africanness is a technology. It is a cultural and spiritual technology. And when we acknowledge, when we can see and imagine, then it helps us. It helps us. Come on, Producer D, who reminds me of another text that I'm not even opening yet. This is Black spirituality and Black consciousness, soul, force, culture, and freedom in the African American experience. So listen, it's all over. The plans are all over. We are not without a plan. And so Black Christ consciousness is a part of the plan. But let's run it back a little bit. Before we even get to Black Christ consciousness, let me run this back to you. Habakkuk 2. I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts, and I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to this complaint. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time, and it speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it lingers, wait for it. And it will certainly come, and it will not delay. You see the enemy is puffed up, and his desires are not upright. But the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. Indeed, wine betrays him. He is arrogant and never at rest, because he is as greedy as the grave, and like death is never satisfied. He gathers to himself all the nations and takes captives all the peoples. Will not all of them taunt him with ridicule and scorn, saying, woe to him who piles up stolen goods? Woe to him who piles up stolen goods and makes himself wealthy by extortion. My God, how long must this go on? The prophet is asking. Will not your creditors suddenly arise? Will they not wake up and make you tremble? Then you will become their prey. Because you have plundered many nations, the peoples who are left will plunder you, for you have shed human blood. You have destroyed lands and cities and everyone in them. Yeah, listen, Francis, this is for the people who need a biblical text. This is for the people who, all that African stuff, and give me a text from the Bible. This is for y'all. You have plotted the ruin of many peoples, shaming your own house and forfeiting your life. And the stones of the wall will cry out, and the beams of the woodwork will echo it. Woe to him who builds a city with bloodshed and establishes a town by injustice. Has not the Lord Almighty determined that the people's labor is only fuel for the fire? Has not the Lord Lord Almighty already determined that the people's labor is only fuel for the fire, that the nations exhaust themselves for nothing, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Woe, woe to him who gives drink to his neighbors, pouring it from the wineskin till they are drunk so that he can gaze on their naked bodies. You will be filled. See, some of y'all stop at 2:2. You got to keep on writing. You will be filled with the shame of glory. Now it is your turn. Now it is your turn. Drink and let your nakedness be exposed, America. Now it is your turn. Now it is your turn. Drink and let your nakedness be exposed. The cup from the Lord's right hand is coming around to you, and disgrace will cover your glory, and the violence you have done to Lebanon will overwhelm you, and your destruction of animals will terrify you. For you have shed human blood, and you have destroyed lands and cities and everyone in them. Listen, listen, listen. This is from your text here. This is from your sacred text. Of what value is an idol carved by a craftsman, or an image that teaches lies? For the one who makes it trust in its own creation, he makes idols that cannot speak. Woe to him who says to wood, come to life, or to lifeless stone, wake up. Can it give guidance? For it is covered with gold and silver, and there is no breath in it. For the Lord is in his holy temple, and let all the earth be silent before him. Habakkuk, the entire chapter 2. Write down the revelation and make it plain, so that those who run by can see it. For the revelation awaits. We are not without a plan. Our elders and our ancestors wrote the plan so that as we run by in this current dispensation of time, we would be able to see the plan on the tablet and implement the plan. The prophet Habakkuk is frustrated. He is upset, and he is wondering, why is it that these people continue to do this foolishness, and they continue somehow to not be punished? What is it? The prophet wants to know. I am frustrated, and here. Let's just rock with it for a second. These are the instructions. So the Lord has instructed Habakkuk then to write this vision on these tablets, because the vision, according to this text, is for an appointed time. The vision, remember, we can look at the vision as instructions for the plan. That the writer of Ecclesiastes tells us that there then is an appointed time for every single thing, that God determines a time for every event under the sun, that everything matters to God. Habakkuk's problem is that he believes that nothing matters to God, particularly that God would allow the people to get away with such horrendous acts. My goodness. So the revelation God gave to Habakkuk was for some way off, but it is really hastening to the goal. The idea of hasten likely does not mean that time moves any faster, but rather speaks to the inevitability that what God has determined will happen. Let me run it back. This idea of hasten likely does not mean that time moves faster, but rather speaks to the inevitability that what God has determined will transpire. that what God has decreed will not fail, because God is God, and what God says will happen, as stated likely in the book of Isaiah in chapter 51 in verse 11, when we realize that God's word says that my word cannot return to me empty without accomplishing what I desire and without succeeding in the matter of which I sent it. Therefore, God comforts Habakkuk by giving Habakkuk the vision and says, though it tarries, wait for it. Here's the technology, y'all. The decree is tarry. Come on, Holy Ghost. Come on, Holy Ghost. Wait a minute. Wait. The decree here is tarry. Run this back. Baba Wade told us that we have to divorce the Western hegemony so that we can understand that our culture. Let me help you for a second. Let me help you. That our culture, okay, let me give y'all a quick dictionary definition of culture. That our human intellectual achievement regarded collectively, that our customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group, that our custom, arts, social institutions, and achievements is the technology. So stay with me. So then, if we go ahead and engage this divorce decree, if we serve these papers, if we lean in and understand that our culture is a technology, then tarrying is not a problem, because then we would understand tarrying is not just wasting time, but marking time. There is a difference between wasting time and marking time. Francis, if you don't get out of my work, that's probably because we preaching the same thing. Because that's where I'm going. You listen, we are going the same place here. Francis lifts up my first point. I was going to say it differently, but this is the point. That we are working while we're waiting. Tarrying, it does not mean we're not doing anything. For those of you who remember when I preached this text many years ago, the title was Write It and Wait. Listen, we are working while we're waiting. But here's the thing, Francis. We're waiting, but what we're waiting, the question is, what are we waiting for? Yeah, God. Come on in here, Holy Ghost. See, I'm about to get in y'all's business right now. I'm about to get in. My producer is up here preaching with me. Our working while we're waiting, our marking time is not wasting time, because we are calling forth soul force. The tarrying is the soul force. That the spirit, I imagine, God and our ancestors are waiting for us to engage, to tap in, so that we can know that we've always had a plan. But because colonization and cultural imperialism has done such a grand job of sort of erasing our sacred data, that we look at, if there are sacred data left, we look at it as antithetical to this more modern data. We look at it as antithetical, not realizing that the plans were set well before even this text in Habakkuk. Come on, plan text number 4. The 42 ideals of Ma'at. Ma'at refers to the ancient Egyptian concepts of truth, balance, or harmony, law. Hold on, y'all, my light is. The fundamental order of the universe. Ma'at refers to the ancient Egyptian concepts of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Sound like a plan to me. the fundamental order of the universe. The Egyptians believed strongly that every individual was responsible for his or her own life and that life should be lived with other people and the earth in mind. In the same way that the gods care for humanity, so should humans care for each other. Oh, I'm sorry, run it back. I'm sorry, run. What are the principles of mind? In the same way that the gods care for humanity, so should humans care for each other and the earth which they had been provided with. This philosophy is evident in every aspect of Egyptian culture. From the way, hold on. Wait a minute, y'all, lost my place. In the same way that the gods care for humanity, so should humans care for each other and the earth which they have been provided with. This philosophy is evident in every aspect of Egyptian culture, from the way they constructed their cities to the balance and symmetry of their temples and monuments. If one lived harmoniously in the will, then one was living in harmony with the concept of Ma'at and the one who embodied the concept. One was free to live and free to be. So, hold on. So the 42, I'm not going to read all 42, but these commandments, and some of you are going to make the connection. I honor virtue. I benefit with gratitude. I am peaceful. I respect the property of others. I affirm that all life is sacred. I give offerings that are genuine. I live in truth. I regard all altars with respect. I speak with sincerity. I consume only my fair share. I offer words of good intent. I relate in peace. I honor animals with reverence. I can be trusted. I care for the earth. I keep my own counsel. I speak positively of others. I said I wasn't going to read, but listen. I remain in balance with my emotions. I am trustful in my relationships. I hold purity and high esteem. I do the best I can. I communicate with compassion. I listen to opposing opinions. I create harmony. I invoke laughter. I am open to love in various forms. I am forgiving. I am kind. I act respectfully of others. I am accepting. I follow my inner guidance. I converse with awareness. I do good. I give blessings. I keep the waters pure. I speak with good intent. I praise the goddess and the God. I am humble. I achieve with integrity. I advance through my abilities and I embrace the all. These laws command our love and respect for the life, dignity, and goddess given rights of all living things, as well as imposing upon us divine obligations and duties toward them and our precious planet. By their observance, we reflect the light upon the world, fusing virtue with justice and aligning individual and collective rights with righteousness. These ancient ideals were created to apply to everyone, regardless of their belief system. There was no concept of religious bias in ancient Egypt. People strived to live a good life in accordance to these ideals of truth, balance, order, law, morality, and justice. Those are the 7 principles of Ma'at: truth, balance, order, law, morality, and justice. The 42 ideals of Ma'at are valuable passages of history that are visible today as they were 5,000 years ago. Here you go. Y'all ready? Here you go. Here you go. The 42 principles of Ma'at existed thousands of years before the Jewish Torah, the Christian Bible, and the Muslim Quran. The plan existed before the Christian Bible, before the Jewish Torah, before the Muslim Quran. These ways of living, of being, that are in exact opposite to the ways that the people were living in Habakkuk chapter 2, shares with us, lets us know that we absolutely have a plan, that it is from this base level that we write any policy, that it is from this base level that we respond, that it is from this base level that we use our culture as technology. But when we ignore our culture, when we turn a back on our ancient wisdoms and traditions, when we foolhardily, close-mindedly take on the colonized imagination of those who came to rule, to erase, and to eradicate, because they know the value of our culture and they know the value of our collective courage, then we will often always believe that we don't have a plan. Okay, let me bring you up to time. Collective Courage is a book by Jessica Gordon Nembard. I'm letting you see it. This is a cooperative history. It tells the cooperative history of a people. This text I'm going to read these 4 epigraphs she has. Courage. Every great movement started as we have started. Do not feel discouraged, because in our few months of life, we have not rivaled some long-established cooperative venture. Each successful cooperative enterprise has taken much time and energy and sacrifice to establish. Nothing worth accomplishing is ever achieved without work. Baker. No race can be said to be another's equal that cannot or will not protect its own interests. This new order can be brought about once the Negro acknowledges the wisdom in uniting his forces and pooling his funds for the common good of all. Other races have gained great wealth and great power by following this simple rule, and it is hoped someday that the Negro will do the same. This is 1942. Wilson. We can, by consumers and producers cooperation, establish a progressively self-supporting economy that will weld the majority of our people into an impregnable economic phalanx. Du Bois, 1933. We have a chance here to teach industrial and cultural democracy to a world that bitterly needs it. Du Bois, 1940s. African Americans have a long, rich history of cooperative ownership, especially in reaction to market failures and economic racial discrimination. However, it has often been a hidden history and one obstructed by white supremacist violence. When there is a narrative, the history is told as one of failure. The challenges have been tremendous and have often been seen as insurmountable. The successes are often anecdotal and isolated, little understood and even less documented, particularly as part of an economic development strategy and the larger economic independence movement. Jessica's research suggests that African Americans, as well as other people of color and low-income people, have benefited greatly from cooperative ownership and democratic economic participation throughout the history of the United States, much like their counterparts around the world. This book documents these practices and experiences, as well as the various philosophies behind the strategy of cooperative ownership among African Americans. Considering the broad aspects of cooperative economic development in African American communities over the past 2 centuries, my research shows that the cooperative economic thought was integral to many major African American leaders and thinkers throughout history. These include known figures such as W.E.B. Du Bois, A. Philip Randolph, Marcus Garvey, E. Franklin Frazier, Nannie Helen Burroughs, George Schuyler, Ella Jo Baker, Dorothy Height, Fannie Lou Hamer, and John Lewis, as well as lesser-known figures such as Helena Wilson, Jacob Reddix, W.C. Matney, Charles Prejean, Estelle Witherspoon, Ralph Page, and Linda Leaks, and organizations such as the Young Negroes Cooperative League, the North Carolina Council for Credit Unions and Associates, and the Federation of Southern Cooperatives Lands Assistance Fund. This study attempts to show how these individuals and organizations contributed to the development and philosophy of the African American co-op movement. Cooperatives, and I'm gonna stop here, but cooperatives, Cooperatives are companies owned by the people who use their services. These member owners form the company for a particular purpose: to satisfy an economic or social need, to provide a quality or good or service, one that the market is not adequately providing at an affordable price, or to create an economic structure to engage in need production or facilitate more equal distribution to compensate for a market failure. The Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, the final plan. Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses to profit from them together. Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kuumba, creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. Umoja, unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, and create for ourselves and speak for ourselves. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Imani, faith, to believe with all of our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Friends, I want to close and I want you to know that we are not without a plan. Nope, we are not without a plan. We are not without a way forward. It is up to all of us, not only those in DC, not only our local elected officials, but it is up to all of us. It is up to those of us who understand the gravity of Western hegemony and who understand the importance of our cultural technology. It is up to us to make sure that at the root of what is being developed, or to inform those of us who believe we don't have any plan, to call us back to the plans that our ancestors used, to collective courage. That is our way forward. To collective courage, to our own Black spirituality and Black consciousness, to our own soul force, our culture, our freedom, that this is our plan. We have never, ever been without a plan. Divorce that thought from your spirit. Release that. Release that. Your folk, your people, even in chains, we know that they had a plan. Before chains. Come on. Because see, the chains, the colonizers, the colonized history, even though they don't want to acknowledge the chains, will only call us to remember history from the point of chains. But prior to chains, we have spaces and places like Timbuktu. We have spaces and places where the creation of math theories, where the creation of medicine and all manner of things were created and founded from a plan of tapping into our knowledge, tapping into these energies. Now it is up to those who have those responsibilities to take this collective courage with them, to take this wisdom with them, to take this insight with them, and then to allow that energy to speak to them as they propose, as we refute and rebut. We have always had a plan. Always. Never not. Never not. Never, ever not. And the good Baptist in me will end with that Black Christ consciousness. because a Baptist going to hang it all on Jesus, and they're going to hang it on Jesus's suffering, on Jesus's bleeding and dying, on Jesus's return. But a Black Christ consciousness, if I could just help us, doesn't get stuck on Jesus's literal physical return. A Black Christ consciousness understands that we resurrect daily, and that our consciousness, Pastor Susan, is resurrected as we continue to connect with our ancient African wisdoms, as we continue to divorce from this Western hegemony and tap into our sacred cultural and spiritual technologies, that this Black Christ consciousness, or this ontologically Black God that sits with the least of these, empowers us, the divinity that is within us, and that as we awaken others. As we rise, others rise. You understand what I'm saying? So we are not stuck missing, waiting. We don't get inundated with the waiting for the by and by, or feeling so overwhelmed by a Project 25, feeling so disempowered, feeling so disembodied, because we feed off of the collective. And if the collective is rooted and grounded in ancient wisdoms and plans, if the collective is able to read the vision written on the tablets that our ancestors provided for us as we run by through these planes of time, then the collective will know that it is not about individual courage of what we face, but it is together. If we can engage the Nguzo Saba together, if we can live into the 7 principles of Ma'at, the 42 principles of Ma'at, then we will know that we've always had a plan, that there is nothing that has come our way that we have not withstood. It doesn't mean that we should be silent. It doesn't mean that we should be mealy-mouthed, and it damn sure doesn't mean that we should curl up in a ball and be scared and become anxious. This is the time for us to tap into our wisdoms. This is the time for us to tap into the spirit. This is the time for us to tap into our knowledges. And don't let no talking head tell you that this is no place for spirit. This is the exact place for spirit. And it is in our collective courage that we remember, that we restore, that we reimagine. That we reimagine. This is the time. Looks like I have started idling, which means it's time for me to go and get into this digital hush harbor. It means possibly that, I've been clocked now by the other powers that be. So I don't know if this will remain up or if it will get removed, but just know we are not without a plan. Find your people. Dr. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. I should be saying it right because he was on my dissertation committee. Dr. Theo Smith's work, Conjuring Culture. He argues that the central importance of culture, a magical means of transforming reality, in Black spirituality and culture, he shows that the Bible, the sacred text of Western civilization, has in fact functioned as a magical formulary for African Americans. Going back to slave religion and continuing in Black folk practice and literature to the present day, the Bible has provided African Americans with ritual prescriptions for prophetically re-envisioning and thereby transforming their history and culture. In effect, the Bible, he says, is, quote, a conjure book, end quote, for prescribing cures and curses, and for invoking extraordinary and divine powers to effect changes in the conditions of human existence, and to bring about justice and freedom. Biblical themes, symbols, and figures like Moses, the Exodus, the Promised Land, and the suffering servant, as deployed by African Americans, have crucially formed and reformed not only Black culture, there's that culture is technology again, but American society as a whole. Smith examines not only the religious and political uses of conjure, but its influence on Black aesthetics and music, drama, folklore, and literature. The concept of conjure, he shows, is at the heart of an indigenous and still vital spirituality, with exciting implications for reformulating the next generation of Black studies and Black theology. Even more broadly, Smith proposes conjuring culture can function as a new paradigm for understanding Western religious and cultural phenomena generally. And I'm going to add that conjuring culture can function as a new paradigm for divorcing. Now, once you understand it, then divorcing this hegemony. Shout out to my dissertation committee member, Dr. Thee Smith, and I shouldn't have dropped that at the end because I don't have time to really unpack it. I'm headed over. Is that you already been conjuring. See y'all. I'm seeing y'all next week. I'm headed